People say that young people can't change the world. I say they're the only ones that can. These are the words of a young person from India who attended a Global Social Leaders program. And I remember hearing her say those words, and I reflected on them. I thought about the challenges the world faces, from conflict, climate change, the aftermath of the pandemic. And I find myself thinking, are her words true? I founded TEDxAlLuqtaED because I believe we need to prepare the next generation to solve the problems we are creating today. They will be making decisions that will alter the course of humanity. However, the idea that responsibility of tackling the world's monumental challenges is going to be placed on our young generation's shoulders deeply concerns me. Our young people, as we have heard, are wrestling with a surge in mental health issues, eco-anxiety, uncertainty surrounding their future careers in the age of artificial intelligence. I attended a conference just a few weeks ago of head teachers from all around the world, and they were asked a question: are you optimistic about the future? And I encourage you all to think, how are you feeling today? Hopefully, in this room, you are feeling optimistic. Those head teachers stood up as a demonstration that they were optimistic about the future. But I looked across the room, and there was 4 people not standing up to that question. And they were the 4 young people that were attending that conference. And they were asked about why they were not optimistic about the future. They shared their uncertainties with the group, and they also shared their challenges with education. And today we've heard it loud and clear that education needs to change. Something needs to change. The World Health Organization states that 1 in 7 10 to 19-year-olds experiences a mental disorder. We've heard other statements tonight and during these TED Talks that are deeply concerning about the impact that artificial intelligence and technology is already having on our youth. In response, many say that schools need to change. They need to adapt to the needs of young people. However, schools are under immense pressure already. They have done so much over the last few years. They have adapted, but they are overwhelmed. Their teachers are overwhelmed in many cases. And the education systems around the world are struggling to adapt to the needs of their young people as society is transforming, as technological advancements are happening, and the need to address climate change is only getting greater. So whilst I believe we do need to prepare young people, we should not burden them with this responsibility alone. So my big question that I'm going to put to you today is, can we together transform education and tackle world issues in the process? Today, I'm going to share with you how I believe we can do this, and I also want to ask for your help, because we need to make this solution accessible to all. Our approach at Global Social Leaders seeks to address and do this, and you've heard from Claire how she's been doing it in Swiss International School. But I want to take you back to 2013 to where TEDxAlLuqtaED started. And it started with a meal, as all good ideas do. I had a meal with a school from Singapore, and they said to me, "Can you run a leadership course for our students? We want them to be the best leaders of the future." And I said to them, "I can do a leadership course for your students, But wouldn't it be better if that leadership course was open to other young people, from other schools, from other countries, from other backgrounds, so that they learned about leadership in a context of understanding of others and their views? They learned that leadership isn't a title, it's a responsibility, and the most important thing about leadership is that you learn how to listen first. Leadership is not about the individual. So we organized a summit. We called it Global Social Leaders. And we had young people attend from all around the world. Since that first summit, we have equipped 10,000 young people to deliver over 3,000 projects in 100 countries, addressing the global goals. And the pictures you see up against the global goals there are pictures of projects delivered by young people, where they are tackling issues that they care about. We have adapted GSL from being an in-person summit in the UK to becoming a movement of schools and partners from around the world who share our commitment to building a global movement of socially conscious young people who are committed and equipped to be leaders in their lives and in society. Now, GSL is designed to support schools by training teachers to become coaches. And that's one of the changes we try to make, is that we help teachers embrace their purpose, that they want to enable young people to thrive, and we believe through coaching and mentoring they can do that. We also equip the young people with the necessary tools and training to help them develop the skills they're going to need for the 21st century. You have heard from Claire today, who is a true advocate of global social leaders. She is a shining light to us and to me. She is one of a movement of teachers around the world embracing project-based learning. Her passion inspires us all. We need more teachers like Claire that are inspiring other teachers to make project-based learning accessible to all, and also going above and beyond. We believe that through real-world projects, through project-based learning, we can play a critical role in developing young people's social and emotional intelligence, their creativity, and their critical thinking skills. In fact, we can make it cool to care. Now, as we look around the world being transformed by artificial intelligence, and we heard about that already today, these are the aptitudes that we need young people to develop. But schools can't do this alone. They cannot and should not. It's happening too rapidly. So we provide access to Global Goals Heroes. This is a movement of volunteers that are helping us to support schools, to support educators and young people. They provide advice and guidance to our community. Now, we invite young people to submit their ideas to us, to submit their project plans that are often bold, sometimes quite crazy, and we give them feedback and guidance to help them with their ideas. And we believe that this process of working with experts from around the world, supporting schools, supporting educators, to help young people get validation of their ideas and support and mentoring to help them can really help young people do things and projects that are remarkable. So let me show you a few examples of young people doing remarkable projects that are transforming lives. I'm going to turn to a school group in Jordan. Now, they submitted an idea to us where they said they wanted to buy a bus. That's right, they wanted to buy a bus, they wanted to turn it into a library, and then take that library to refugee camps around their country. I was like, wow, that is amazing. And I remember reading that plan. But we wrote back to them saying, we love it, but what's your plan B if you don't raise their target of $20,000? And how will you make this sustainable? How will it go beyond you as a group of young people when you go to university or whatever's next for you? We got an update back from them later in the year, and they said to us, unfortunately, they didn't raise that $20,000. And that could have been it. They could have decided at that point they'll take what they fundraised and just donate it. But they listened to the feedback that we gave them, and they decided to come up with a plan B. They partnered with a local organisation by a refugee camp and got donated a space that they then painted, decorated, and turned into a library and a safe space for children and families. And this is the space that these school children created. These young people realised that sometimes plan B can be better than plan A, the importance of resilience, of pivoting, of creativity. They developed the skills that they need for a very challenging future. Change is hard. Young people need support, guidance, and when their plan isn't going to track, school teaches them you're failing or you succeed. In the real world, it's not like that. When it doesn't work, when you fail, you need to fail forward. And actually, failing's important. And at the point, that moment when the project isn't working, that's the magic moment when you come up with the idea that can transform the world. I'm now going to turn to another group of young people in Colombia who partnered with an organization called Give Power to install solar panels in underprivileged communities. Yes, young people installed facilities that gave access to electricity, food safety, storage, water, and internet in a deprived community. When I read their project and listened to their video, I was like, wow, how on earth did those young people do that? So I met with them, I spoke to them, and said to them, did you believe you could do that at the start? And did your teachers and school believe? And they said to me, no and no. They started with a green day. And as we sit there as educators, you've seen your students organise activities like that. They started small. They organised a day within their school where they raised awareness around climate action and climate change. They raised some funds, and then they paid for solar panels to be installed by their partner, Give Power, in their school. Step one, step two. Then they carried on to fundraise. They gathered confidence in themselves. Their school now had confidence in them and solar panels. And then they went on to raise the funds to build those in their less advantaged communities. And the partner organisation that they worked with wrote and said, the work that these students have done throughout the year is remarkable. I've never imagined that high school students could develop and execute a project of this magnitude. They didn't believe it, but through starting small, taking these steps, working with an expert partner, they've been able to do it. I'm now going to turn to my last example, a project from India, Project Guana. This group of students decided to tackle an issue which was homelessness. They came up with a way to create an affordable housing for people in India. And this is what they came up with. They took shipping containers and they turned them into affordable housing. They used recycled Tetra Paks for flooring. They installed solar panels for energy. And you know what? This was delivered to their school grounds, I believe with permission, to actually test it out, see if it worked. And then it got noticed of the whole school, and it got the notice of a bank who then decided to invest in these students and their ideas and allowed the school students to then actually employ a project manager to help them scale this idea. Now, these are incredible projects. These are incredible examples of young people who have been supported to make real change happen. And I honestly believe that real-world projects can serve as a powerful platform for young people to develop the values, the skills they need for the future, and help them make a tangible impact on communities around them. There are many examples of schools starting to embrace project-based learning. However, the other message I want to share with you today is research from University College London shows that the schools that are embracing future-fit curriculums, project-based learning, are typically schools that are not in the publicly funded systems. And they're available primarily to discerning parents who can afford these opportunities. So whilst we've got a great solution to develop young people and help them prepare for the future, there's a risk here that the advantage will access future-facing schools, while many public sector schools will remain trapped in an old paradigm, entrenched and widening disparities in our societies. And according to the World Bank, the poorest and the most vulnerable people bear the brunt of climate change, yet contribute the least to the crisis. Their voices are not heard. And that's why we believe our solution needs to be accessible to schools from every background, so that we can enable young people from every background to develop these skills and get their voices heard. We need to support the next generation to create a brighter future. And I would like to close with the words of Aisha, a 13-year-old from the British International School of Ukraine, who participated in GSL over the last year against a backdrop of unprecedented challenges and was supported by her teachers, who again had a backdrop of unprecedented challenges. And her words were, "It was my first time getting to know people from around the world who are solving practical life problems. It was really mind-opening and powerful to know that age or race does not matter when it comes to making a difference. Anyone can create a change by keeping a few points in mind. I learned that we should start small and grow big. We should remain optimistic as well as realistic." I believe her words are an inspiration to us all in the kind of education that we need to be embodying and give young people access to. So I say to you, would you like to join us in supporting young people to change the world? Because I believe together we can. Thank you.